my friends. Welcome back to the Full Experience. The Full in Full is first, ultimate, lowest, and last. We watch those 4 episodes of a series to get a look at the flavor of what that series was about without having to watch all of it. Maybe we'll go back and watch all of it. Many times we have, but we watched the first episode, the highest rated, the ultimate episode, the lowest rated, and the last episode. I'm Tom Merritt, and joining me to talk about the ultimate, the highest rated episode of The Good Place, 113, Michael's Gambit, which first aired January 19th, 2017. He's Brian Brushwood.
Tom, my favorite thing about doing the Full Experience is not only that we get pretty much the entire series for a whole bunch of shows that we ain't got time to spend more than a few hours watching, but despite all of our bravado and confidence, secretly, the Full Experience is a series where we're constantly testing our theory that just watching the first, ultimate, lowest, and last is pretty much the full experience. And every so often do the stars align like they did on this one. I think this is going to be an exemplar of why the Full Experience is the best.
On the one hand, I cannot in good faith recommend to anyone not watching all of The Good Place. Like, if you really, really, really want to enjoy everything about The Good Place, you should watch every episode. There may be a couple I would drop, but they're so good and the tension builds and it's so well written. On the other hand, if you have to break it down to just 4 episodes, our formula did a pretty good job of breaking it down to just 4 episodes.
Well, especially because oftentimes with a really good show, what we worry about is the ultimate episode also happening to be the last one where we have to fudge. So in this case, the reason obviously that the ultimate episode was this one is because it's when the big twist happens, and it's a bold move to have a primetime comedy show where you go a full season without bothering to tell people the secret thing that it is the entire time.
Well, in fact, I fell off during season 1. I didn't stop watching, but I fell behind, and I'm like, yeah, I need to catch up with The Good Place. Then this episode aired, and I believe you were among them, but multiple people said, oh, you've got to catch up now. I can't tell you why, but you've got to catch up.
So I was not the one who ruined it for you.
No one spoiled it, but people were very much like, yeah, I know you said it was getting a little slow, but just trust me, you're going to like it. And even knowing that, going into this episode fresh the first time, I was surprised and I loved it, because it wasn't just that they revealed the switch, and we will be spoilery, of course, about this, that they were in the bad place. It's that the way they did it, with that moment where Ted Danson just goes, yeah, got me. We didn't try to get away with it. We didn't have denials. They just immediately were like, okay, game's up. I guess they figured it out. Let's do where the villain explains his plan in reverse, and have all of you tell me how you figured it out. Great. Good job, Eleanor. Oh, by the way, the cliffhanger ending isn't going to be that you're in the bad place, which would be the obvious thing that other TV shows would do. Oh no, the cliffhanger ending is we're going to start over and you won't remember it. See you next season.
Well, and that is a fine dramatic hook to give us. There's 2 things I wanted to touch on a lot. One is, for the Full Experience, the fact that you get the reveal of it being the bad place. And this is why God smiles upon the Full Experience, is because halfway through, this episode stops being a finale episode and turns into a clip show. If you jumped straight from the first episode to this one, congrats. You got a Cliff's Notes of the entire first season, catching you all the way up. On top of the fact, they do a little bit of the old-fashioned cliffhanger reintroduction after the commercial break stuff, including, and it looks a little bit weird when you watch it in isolation the way we are now, because they'll use 2 different takes where maybe the words will be a little bit different from one to the other. And there's definitely different energy. One where they're ending on an up note, and then other where they're recapping to bring us in to set the scene. And it's a little bit jarring, but then you get interesting peeks into, this is my second point, the performance Ted Danson gives is fascinating.
Oh my
because
gosh,
I can't say it exactly landed it the first time I saw it. I felt like it was. I felt like when he did the heel turn, he was too menacing and it was over the top and it took me out for a little bit. But now, on the third, fourth viewing, I don't know how it could have been much better. Specifically because, yes, when the reveal happens, he goes full sinister. But then they go to ad break, and when they come back, he does a version of it that's sinister-ish, but very quick to introduce the more interesting question is this slightly swishy elder gentleman who's befuddled by everything, was that an act or is that the real Michael? And then that's the cracking open of the door. And of course, it's girded by the fact that we have this flashback of him as a low status protagonist. We get to cheer for him and his bold new initiative, even though he's working for the bad guys. Like, they gave us just the slightest taste of him being demonic, and then immediately took it away and began what at first there's, I don't know, 6 to 8 episodes of you're not sure whether or not is he just straight evil or not. And then eventually it becomes pretty clear how that wraps up. But I thought that was fascinating.
I think one of the things that made me write Ted Danson is a genius in my notes is the flashbacks. So we get flashbacks in this episode to him creating the good place as an architect, getting the chance to be an architect. And at first I wrote, are we opening with Michael reminiscing a lie? Because in the context of the episode, we have not revealed that they're in the bad place yet. In fact, we haven't really even hinted at it very much, if at all. Most people did not guess that. Some people did, but most people did not. So I'm like, wait, he's in the architect's room. It says architect's room, and he's like working on the good place, and like, and he's got a nice coworker, and everybody seems nice. And then the second flashback, you realize, oh, he is in fact an architect of the bad place and an aspiring architect. And this is his first neighborhood, his first chance to design torture, to architect torture for the bad place. And knowing that, you're like, wow, this is just so finely tuned, well written, and well acted to be misleading enough to not give away the game, but when you watch it back, go, nope, I'm not seeing any weak spots there. That definitely could be demonic Michael the entire time.
Well, and in magic, there's a mentalism technique called dual reality, and it's something that the magician mentalist Darren Brown used a lot, where there could be a story-based beat that is totally neutral, but the person on stage is experiencing it primed one way, and the audience at home is primed to see it another way. And it's a great example of it because we see Michael as a can-do visionary kid who wants to make his big break. He gets it, and then he has his aha moment, and he writes down whatever Project 271, whatever it is, and it says the good place, and the good place is in quotation marks.
Yeah.
And then underneath it, it says a bold new direction. So to the audience upon the first viewing, it reads as, oh, he's going to do a bold new direction on the good place. And then meanwhile, upon a second, third viewing, it's clear that it's like, oh, the quotes is the star of the show. That it's like, that's the title of the bad place is the good place.
Yeah. I only point this out, not because it's a weakness or anything, but it did strike me odd this time, not when I originally saw it, that Michael and the judge go into the bedroom instead of leaving the house.
And they just
simply
sit there
so they
awkwardly.
can do simply so they can have the clown joke again happen. That is really the only motivation for them to go that direction.
There is, within the meta narrative of that season, though, there's a second reason in that they need to be nearby, ready to and poised to leap out and interrupt any kind of resolution to the conflict.
Sure. You could easily do that from the front door as well, right? Yeah. And in the bedroom, they are definitely going to be able to hear what's happening out there, and they pretend like they're not. But worth it for the joke. Also, I had forgotten that Jason and Janet were quote unquote together this early in the show. I thought that happened like season 2 for some reason.
Yeah, well, there are interesting echoes of it, and I wonder if you'll get to experience them in the lowest rated episode. I don't know, but that twist is fantastic on the first time. Like seeing her going through the motions of being the happy bride is hilarious.
Such a risky move to reveal this at the end of season 1. Like, I remember thinking that was genius. Now I definitely want to see the beginning of season 2, but how do you keep this fresh? And they do. We know that now, but it does kind of feel like they blew all their tricks when they give it away this early.
Yeah, well, and I don't know how much we could talk about it because per the rules of the full experience, we only get to work with what we've seen in the full experience.
Yeah, but genuinely deserved to be the ultimate episode of The Good Place, I would think. Season 1, episode 13, Michael's Gambit. Anything else that you want to chat about?
No. Although I would love to check in. What one is the lowest rated episode?
We are going to watch episode 6 of season 4 next, Chip Driver Mystery. So we're jumping over seasons 2 and 3 altogether.
This is ideal. And I think I predicted this last time we talked about this. I think this is going to be exactly like what happened when we did the full experience on the West Wing, where it's lowest rated because the audience didn't get what they were expecting, more of the same. And instead, it just happens to be a slightly, for lack of a better word, off-brand episode that to the full experience goer is just going to see a delightful vignette with a different style.
Yeah. The log line, which if you consider log lines spoilery, then pause. But the log line for that episode is one of the new residents creates a division in the ranks. And there's a mystery book in the trailer for it.
Yeah. You know what? I'm not going to say anything, and we'll find out what we think going into that one cold.
Yep. So that will be the next episode of the full experience, The Good Place, season 4, episode 6, a Chip Driver Mystery. You get these episodes earlier, if you can't wait, by becoming a patron. Patreon.com/Cordkillers. You also get After Talk, where we talk spoilery about other shows, as well as just talk about our strategy for the show and behind the scenes and how things are going. So sign up for that. Patreon.com/Cordkillers. And we'll talk about a Chip Driver Mystery next time on the full experience. Talk to you then.